Hey guys.
Hey
Hey,
guys.
welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday once again. Thank you for joining us here today. I can see quite a few of you here already. We
Yeah.
appreciate that. Rosie, Gray, Panda, Rag Attack, all you
Man.
guys. Suddenly, nice to see you as well. This is once again the show where we basically take your comments and do our best to help you with whatever you're worried about today or this week, whether that be a situation at home with your family, or maybe at school, or maybe at work. Maybe it's something like someone recently died in the family and you're wondering how to solve an issue. Either way, whatever it is, we'd be free to take your questions or concerns and hopefully help you out. We're not professionals, but of course, we will do our best to help you and at least maybe help you start moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Because it is Wednesday and you're not supposed to worry today.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's Wednesday. I mean, what are you doing with your life that you have to worry about something? It's a Wednesday, don't you know?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Oh,
And thank
congrats,
Sunnily.
CDBNL, for releasing a message to pop culture.
Yeah, thank you, Sunnily. Yep. It's on Spotify and I'm not sure what all the other platforms. I don't know if it's on iTunes or not because I don't have an Apple product.
I'm
But
sure it is, though.
yes, and I will tell you this. The video has just been completed and will be released tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So
Nice.
yes. So yeah. And it's been a long time coming, so I appreciate your patience, and thank you, Sonali, for the congratulations. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Thank you, Sonali.
hopefully
Congratulations
it'll
for congratulating him. You're
be well,
welcome.
well, how about that? Hoy,
Hey,
hoy,
hey,
toasty.
Toasty. Hoi, hoi. Um, yeah. So, Rosie, yeah, I mean, if you have something you'd like to ask, go for it. No one else has asked anything yet. Um, and if do you want to start with something from the website? By the way, we have a website. It's bss.studio.
Yeah,
Shameless plug. If you go there, you can, get involved with the rest of the community, ask questions for Don't Worry Wednesday, and we'll talk about them in the next Don't Worry Wednesday or whatever. There's lots of different things that you can do there that 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 will enrich your life with
yes.
with a very awesome positive community, because we have some of the most amazing people in the
Oh my
world,
gosh.
like you guys.
That that is so true. It's amazing people. And probably all of you, have been there, and if you're not, then you should. It'd be good. It'd be a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Let's see. So we do have some. Oh,
Yep.
Rosie's got her question in.
All right. So
Thanks,
Rosie
Rosie.
asks this, or says this. So at school, there's some girl drama. My lunch table has been leaving me out and taking everything I say and turning me into a bad guy, even my jokes. I left that table and they kind of ignore me. Fair enough. Joe, what would you have to say in response to this issue? But I still want to
Hmm,
be friends because I'm friends with many people and I don't want it to be awkward because I planned a lot of volunteer work with them. Oh,
hmm.
yeah, that kind of puts you in a situation where you're going to have to be dealing with them more in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be awkward, to deal with that,
Mhm.
Rosie. Um I don't know how or what I'm supposed to do. Yes,
Yeah.
I know exactly how you feel. I've been in that type of situation before, and I'm pretty sure when I was faced with that when I was younger, I probably handled it wrong.
There you go. Good start. Now we know what the wrong way is, right?
Yes, yes. And the way that I handled it then was to just get angry and spiteful and not talk to him and be mean, and pretty much got mean across the board. And I discovered later that that was generally not a very good approach to pretty much anything.
Ever.
So,
Nice.
but yeah, that man. So drama is always tough to deal with, especially because, like I I look at it now, it's like, what's the point? What's the point of the drama? It's like I don't understand why somebody would go to that length just to create some kind of a stir. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I understand that you would be paranoid, and it's awesome that you can reach out to your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's hugely important. Some people would have a lot of trouble reaching out to their parents in a situation like this, and
I applaud you for that. That's
yeah,
great.
absolutely, absolutely. So, sometimes, I mean,
Nice sweet potato. She hates me now.
oh my
Or
gosh,
oh, okay.
best friend since kindergarten. The plot is continually
It's thickening.
wait, wait, wait.
Yeah.
Your mom is your best friend, but this other person was your best friend since kindergarten. Okay. I was slightly confused about the best friend situation. Okay. So, um, one thing I've learned is that we can always love somebody even when they're not loving us. It doesn't require, like, my loving a person uh doesn't have to be contingent on them loving me. So you know, I can always offer my love, I can always give love, I can always, put loving feelings in my heart and tell myself, I love this person, I love this person. And they have the choice to love me back or not. I mean, I can't take that choice away from them. And if somebody's, talking behind my back or, creating this story about me that's not really true, but it turns me into somebody bad. Sometimes one of the best things you can do, you can always love this person, but sometimes it's good to love somebody from a distance. So, one of the things, I mean, even as much as it can hurt to not associate with them at the table, at lunch, that may be one of the best things you can do at this moment is to just try not to associate with them. And I think one of the things that is a common trap that people fall into is somebody will be like this. Um, somebody will all of a sudden change, and we don't necessarily know why. Um, but Okay, sorry, I'm just reading your continuing posts. Okay, you're being forced to associate with them. And just for clarification, is the being forced to associate with them because of the projects you're working on, the different
I think that seems to be the case.
events? Is that kind of the case?
Mm.
Um,
Did
because
you did you read the one where she said she used to be all friendly with me, but in December
yeah,
yeah, just stopped
in
hanging.
December she stopped hanging with me and then turned me into the bad guy.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're there with okay, gotcha. Um, I don't know if there is a way in those environments for you to, kind of separate yourself from this person, at least, maybe not work right next to them or whatever. But if somebody's turning others against you, I mean, oh man,
Hmm.
that is hard.
That is hard.
And I'm very sorry that you're dealing with that. I've you know, I guess if it gets bad enough, you can always, leave that association. Um, you could separate and sit alone on your phone. Yeah, that's true. I mean, but then you would be alone. That's not always that much fun. But probably what I would recommend you try to avoid is try to avoid feeding the situation with more. Like, if this person is spreading rumors about you or gossiping about you and it's creating, a bad environment for you, you don't necessarily want to feed that negative environment by spitting back, or coming up with more stuff to, maybe cut that person down. You know, you're not feeding the situation. Great. That's yes. If you're a praying person, then I always find it helps to um pray for the person who's doing that. Um that it you know, it can help them, and it can also, but more importantly, it's going to help you in your heart, because if you drink the poison of negative feelings, it hurts you. If you you know are angry at somebody or don't forgive somebody, or that's really the key. If you do not forgive, then that's basically like you're drinking poison and you're wanting that other person to get hurt by it. But it doesn't hurt them at all. It really hurts you the most. Um so as difficult as that is to suffer through that, um sometimes we get faced with these issues, and without being there in your shoes, it's kind of tough to give you some pinpointed advice, because sometimes there's a time to separate. Sometimes you can just, muscle up underneath it and still get done what you need to get done. Um, and I guess, man, more than anything, my heart goes out to you, because that is so difficult. And I've been there before. And like I said, my response was to turn that into hate. And I realized after years of just basically destroying my own insides that that was wrong. And then I had to rebuild myself from that. So I tell you, you can rise above it. And Ryan, what do you have?
Yeah, that's pretty hard. I would say, obviously, on top of what Joe said, because everything Joe said was great, especially getting your mind right. As for like Joe said, you can pray for them. It does, maybe that'll help them, but even more so, that'll help you because that puts your heart in the right place. That'll make you be more patient with them. Um, and that will allow you to face the situations when they're being jerks to um, not be so repressed by it or not be so down about what they have to say. Um, it's hard being in a situation, and it's this thing I'm going to say is probably not going to be easy at all, but because emotions are a thing that are hard to control. But I would say um, one way you can go about this situation is to just try to own it. And what I mean is, you're going to have to be around these people, right? You're going to be forced to be around these people at camp. I don't want you, for the sake of you, to go alone and then be fiddling around on your phone, by yourself or whatever, because that kind of separates you from them. It'll only make you feel more alone, and it'll make you feel more alone inside, and it will give them more of an opportunity to look at you. And you will think that in the back of your head, you will think about, oh, they're looking at me right now. They're probably like, oh, look at that loser. She's all alone, blah, blah, blah. I would suggest not even going off on your own. If you're being forced to be with these people, then what you need to do is just own it. And what I mean by that is have some confidence in yourself. Rosie, you know what kind of person you are. And yeah, no one's perfect, but you know that the things that they're saying about you, that they're making you into this bad person, you know you're not that bad person. So don't be affected by it. In fact, what you need to do is prove them that you're an awesome person to be around. Prove to them by being around them and being nice and helping them and being genuinely interested in them. So like if I have someone that's saying something bad about me, that doesn't change who I am and that doesn't affect me. Like I hear that, there are people that say things about me, and the honest truth is they just don't know me. And when I go up to them, that's not true, Rosie. I'm not perfect either. Um,
But he's not any less than perfect.
that's true. At least I'm not any less than perfect. Joe, that's you actually. It's you that's not any less than perfect. Um, don't try to I see you trying to rub yourself off onto me, trying to make me not any less than perfect, but that's your game, man. So anyways, um, like if I was in that situation, I think the best opportunity is for me, like Joe said, is to love on them. Just go up to them and sure, yeah, maybe they've said bad things about you. Maybe they believe things that aren't true about you. The best thing you can do is let them know that that's not true. By going up to them and being an honest person, being kind to them, being considerate, listen to what they have to say when they're talking, and being genuinely interested in the things of conversation that arise. So like, maybe they talk about their slippers that they have at their house that they really like. And then just get into that conversation with them. Be like, yeah, man, I love slippers. Keep your feet warm. My feet always get cold, like blah, 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 whatever it is. Um, but by doing that, that will change how they see you. I think a lot of times, this is one of the reasons I hate gossip because if someone tells me something about somebody I've never even met before, when I finally meet them, whatever they told me is going to be spinning around in the back of my head. Like,
Mm,
oh, yeah, this is the guy they said that he beat his wife or something like that. And then I won't be able to talk to that person honestly because that's going to be going on in the back of my head. That's true for everybody. So what you can do is you can go up to them and be kind like you are, be honest like you are, and be a good person that's caring for them. And what will happen over time is their minds will start to open up and say, she doesn't seem like that bad of a person, And then when something bad about you is said, instead of going, oh, I didn't know that about her, that sounds terrible. Their first thought instead will be, well, she doesn't seem like that kind of person. Maybe that's not true. Maybe we, or they'll be like, maybe we misunderstood something, or maybe something got miscommunicated, you know? Um, so if I think your best option is when you're in those situations where you have to be around them, just own it. Just go in there and bring your happy attitude self and make some friends by being a friend.
mm,
Just be there for them. And
mm,
I think that will rewire their minds and how they see you. And that will fix the wrong things that they've heard about you. Because then once you've shown them that you're a good person, that and once they start to feel like, hey, this person's my friend, you know, then you can address the things that were said about you and say, "Oh yeah, I don't know who said that about me, but that's totally not a real thing. Like I never did that. That's not something I would do." And then they would go, "Oh, okay. I guess whatever. Like whoever said that was probably wrong." It that way you don't play the blame game, but
mm,
also it helps you to overcome those things and people stop thinking those bad things about you. Um, I never worry about how people will see me um, before they meet me, or what they've heard about me, or even after they meet me, like the first time. Like if they have bad thoughts, or sometimes people just look at me. Oh, that guy's got long hair. He must be like lazy hippie. Whatever, um, drug dealing kind of guy. And then all I have to do is walk up to him and have one conversation with him, and they'll go, "Oh, he seems like a pretty nice guy. I'd like to talk to him again." You know, and that's all just because when I talk to them, I show them who I am, and I come with confidence, knowing that they're gonna like who I am because I'm a likable person.
mhm.
Not not everybody's gonna like me. I'm not gonna bet on it. I don't care if everybody likes me. But the people who need to like me, people who are open to liking me will like me. As long as someone's not just absolutely negative and hating on everybody, you know, um, they'll be willing to learn who I am. And And a lot of times it's not about them figuring out who I am. It's about Ryan, redneck hippie drug. Um, I don't know. What's the F doing there? Um,
Drug.
drug. Um, it's not about necessarily them coming to learn who I am. It's when I approach them, I try to figure out who they are. And by learning who they are, they start to eh, I'll say this. I've said it many times before, but the most important thing when dealing with people is not how they see you. The most important thing when dealing with people is how they see themselves when they're around you. So don't worry about how they see you, how you look. What matters most is how they feel about themselves in the situation that they're in. If you make
Mhm.
someone feel good about themselves by complimenting them or just making them have an enjoyable experience, they're going to like you. But really honestly what it is they like how they feel when they're around you. And that
Mhm.
emotion, that feeling brings them back to you. Thanks, Summer. Thanks, Summer.
This is so funny because you're talking some really amazing wisdom here, and, and in the chat we've got all this. Ryan's a druggie. Ryan's a hippie redneck drug dealer. I'm like,
Confirmed by some random guy in the street. Lol, lol. That's great.
uh, it's awesome. I don't.
Um,
What is that? I don't know what that is.
Saitama is a character in Dragon Ball Z. Are you talking
Oh,
about him?
I have
I
not
don't
seen Dragon Ball Z.
know.
I know. I know I'm lame for not seeing Dragon Ball
Oh,
Z.
it's
But
you're cool.
okay,
Uh,
good. As long as that person's cool.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know. Saitama.
like a pro wrestler. That's right, man.
Oh, yeah. Just
Um,
okay. So yeah, that's all I
sorry,
had.
Ryan.
I hope that helps you. I
Yeah.
hope that's doable because I know. Excuse me. It's hard to put yourself in that situation because it takes a lot of. You're gonna have to force yourself if you want to get into that situation where you're being around them and you're just being cheery and learning about them and making them feel good about themselves. That's key. But if you can
Hmm.
do that, if you can force yourself, it's not hard. Trust me, it's not hard. You just compliment somebody. It's not hard. It's just words.
Hmm.
Um, but or it's just laughing with them when they make a joke and just having fun with them and making them feel good about themselves. It's not hard. But if that's where your state of mind is, they're going to change how they think about you. And then you're going to be able to correct those things that were said about you that were wrong or that were lies.
Hmm.
So, anyways, it's going to take some force on your part to force yourself to do that rather than because your desire is going to go off by yourself and play on your phone. That totally relatable. That's going to be what you're going to want to do, but that's not what's going to be good for you. And I think, um, or even that's not even going to be good for them because that's only going to fuel the fire on their
Hmm.
part if they see you going off on your own, and it's going to make you feel like you don't belong. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter if you belong or not. What makes you belong is whether you decide, hey, this is where I'm at or not. It's like don't worry about belonging. Just go in there and do your thing. And yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of force from you. You're gonna have to be like, okay, I'm not gonna go off by myself. I'm gonna hang out with these guys that see me as some kind of jerk, but I'm gonna correct that. I'm gonna show them, you know, that I'm a nice
Hmm.
guy. I'm a nice girl rather.
Yeah.
So
Ryan was saying some great stuff, and it sparked a couple of thoughts that I had regarding this. And one thing also, you had mentioned in the chat, Rosie, that you were wondering if you can buy confidence. And unfortunately, no, but it can be earned, and that's kind of how we get it is we earn it through our challenges. And the challenge you're
mhm,
facing right now is one that if you approach it properly can build confidence in you for the rest of your life. And really it kind of takes rising above and being like, this whole drama, this is beneath you. You are such a bigger person than this petty little garbage that's going on. You are so far above that, and I understand the lack of confidence. A couple of things that you can physically do to build confidence in yourself are, live, be who you say you are, and let what the world sees and what you think about yourself kind of go hand in hand. And what do I mean by that? Like, basically, be a person of character as much as you can. I know character is a sliding scale, but being honest, being, upfront, being, all these kinds of different things, being honest with yourself, all those things will incrementally grow your character. Even as down to, I know I've stated this before, but setting an alarm and getting up with that alarm rather than hitting the snooze button, that is a little piece of character that can build your confidence.
The heroic
Physical
minute.
exercise, what's that?
The heroic minute.
The heroic minute.
Do you know that?
Making your bed in the morning when you get up, that can build confidence. As strangely as that seems, just that simple task can give you confidence. You know, Personal hygiene, all these different things, taking care of yourself, all these things can incrementally build your confidence. Um,
That's true.
Physical activity, exercise, just taking a walk or a run or something like that. I mean, even those things, those all yes, you're my people. My alarm is it's a million volume. I just ignore it and sleep through it. I do too. Um, no, and it doesn't matter if you don't do any of this stuff now. I'm just telling you these are things that you can do physically that will help increase your confidence level as you
Mhm.
go. And it's going to be a gradual change over time. The other thing I thought was you can forgive somebody. Your mom had mentioned you need to stand up for yourself, right? And Ryan had said something, you kind of need to rise up and own this, and all that is very true. Now you can be forgiving and loving and humble
Mhm.
and confront an issue at
Yes.
the same time. When I say, like, when you stand up for yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean to confront the person. What you're doing is you're confronting the issue with that person.
Oh,
So
very well said.
because you love this person and their behavior it's going to poison them.
Mhm.
Gossip is going to hurt them. Them gossiping is hurtful to them as much as it is to you. So whatever the pain that's causing you, it's just digging a deeper hole for this person. And because you love this person, you don't want them down in that hole. So when you start to wrap your mind around that concept, then you can start to rise above a little bit. And then you can go and talk to the person and confront the issue with them and say, "Hey," and just be really calm and real and just, "Hey, what is going on? Is there something that changed? I just don't understand what's happening here." And they might get, I tell you, a lot of times they might just get belligerent and be like, "Well, it's just because you're dumb or whatever, blah blah blah."
Mhm.
But and at that point, now you've put the feeler out there, you've gotten a response. Okay, something's going on in their life where they're in a lot of pain, you know, and that's why somebody does something like this is because they're hurting inside. And so because you love this person, you know, you might just go talk to them, and even if it ends up in them just shoving you away for whatever reason, at least you tried and at least okay, they're hurting. There's not much I can do. I'm not the right person that can help this person right now. Maybe you can get another, maybe there's an authoritative figure, in that realm that you can talk to about it and say, "Look, I'm really concerned about this person. They're doing these kinds of things, and I'm really concerned what's going on in their heart. I don't know what they're going through, but they're going through something and I can't help them. And so I don't know. I just wanted to make you aware,
It's well put.
that this is
Interesting.
going on. So that way it's not like you're being a tattletale. It's just that you're confiding in somebody that maybe has some influence with this person that's saying, "Hey, just be on the lookout because this is going on and I'm concerned for them because I feel like because they're doing this, they're probably in a lot of pain in some area of their life, and this is just how it's being manifest,
Mhm.
and it's lashing out at me, but or lashing out about me to other people and gossip, but that's something that you can do, and that way, if you try and you don't succeed in confronting the issue with the person, maybe somebody else that has some influence can. And then maybe that can help heal whatever hurt is going on in their heart. And then that will stop the issue.
Mhm. Yeah, it was very nice to said because that's so true. You could sometimes when you confront somebody about an issue, bringing that issue forth makes them feel bad as it would. You know, when you tell somebody, "Hey, you're doing this wrong," and they already know what they're doing is wrong, they just get upset. You know, like so the natural emotional reaction is to lash out and say, "No, I'm not doing anything wrong. You're wrong." Blah 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 blah,
Hmm.
and freak out at
We
you.
get defensive, you know.
Yeah, and so you just have to. I think it helps to know that before getting into the situation because then, if you know that is possibly going to happen, then you can see them in that place and you can say, okay, yeah. So they know what they are doing is wrong, but they're stuck. They're having some kind of issue, and they probably don't even, you know, they realize that what they're doing is wrong, but for some reason they haven't been able to stop it, or they started something and now they don't know how to stop. You know, whatever it is, they need help. And it helps to see from that kind of perspective where you're like, okay, I want to help this person, rather than just feeling attacked. Because if whatever they say is likely an emotional reaction, and a lot of it's not true, um, there's no reason to feel like you have to go on the defensive back. That's the last thing you want to do. If someone's being defensive and attacking you because you brought up an issue, um, the worst thing I think that you could do is go on the defensive back and start yelling at them.
Hmm.
A lot of times that doesn't help the situation, but being able to see that and realize, okay, this is what's going on, and I want to help this person gives you a whole different mindset rather than just a responsive emotional. It's more of a responsive based on what's going on and being more, I guess, logical. Um,
Right.
but of course, emotional as well. It's emotional in the sense of um, I care for you rather than emotional in the sense of I need to defend myself because my ego is at, you know, stake here or whatever. But yeah, it's a complicated issue. You know, people have very many facets and very many things that going on in their lives that we don't see. A lot of pain that we're causing ourselves that we either see or we don't. Um, and so it's complicated. Relationships are complicated, and that's okay. um, I think you'll
Yeah.
be able to figure it out though, Rosie.
Rosie, you rock. And
Yeah,
thank
you
you a
rock.
million for your question because, man, that is something I think a lot of people have a challenge with. And you had the guts to ask it.
Hmm.
And,
Oh,
man,
don't feel bad. It's all right.
yeah, I feel bad for taking up so much time too, most of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
I
a
am
rock.
rock now.
You are the rock.
Yeah, you are the rock, the pro
Amazing.
wrestler.
He's not a pro
Um,
wrestler anymore. His name is Dwayne.
oh, whatever. You think I know this kind of stuff? I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Okay. So
Cool.
Panda Quez? How do you pronounce that?
Pandaquas? Panda Quiz. I don't know. We'll just call him Panda though. That makes it
Panda.
call them Panda. It makes it easier.
All right, Panda. So your friend is going through a tough time. You don't know how to comfort them.
Hmm.
And Gray has an update.
Oh, okay. From the last week, I went on a date with them. Oh, whoa. And I won't have to do so again, as they say they won't be going on a date. Oh, okay. That we won't be going on a date together again. All right. Well, at least now you know.
Well, you embraced the awkward, Gray.
Yeah. Way to go.
Man, I I can only imagine that must have been a pretty amazing story.
Mhm. You know,
For those of you who
good
don't
on
know
you.
what we're talking about, go to our, most recent live stream. I don't remember what moment it was in there, but watch the whole thing. It's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Only an hour and a half. Um,
Way to go, Gray.
yeah, way to go, Gray. I mean, props to you. It's not easy. I heard someone recently talking about asking people out, and it's something that's so hard for our culture to do. It's always been hard, but it's especially hard now when we communicate through texting and so on. So asking somebody face to face has become really hard for people.
Mhm,
Um, but one one thing that they said, and I thought it was great, is a lot of times we fear rejection, so we don't ask at all.
mm,
But that's something you should do, because if if you're you should be you should give yourself the chance to take the rejection as opposed to someone else. You should be the person that puts yourself out there, and gets rejected so that somebody else doesn't have to, if that makes sense. Like you can't, if you wait for the other person to off or to ask you to date, you know, you're putting them in the position of possible rejection, you know? And so you don't want them to go through that. If you don't want to suffer through that, they don't want to suffer through that either, you
mhm,
know? But if you're loving, then you're willing to do the things that you don't want to do. That's what love is sometimes. Being able to do the things you really don't care to do and making a sacrifice. And so putting yourself out there for that sake, so that they don't have to, is in a way loving. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
mhm.
It actually wasn't awkward. Oh, it was just boring. Nice.
Well,
Well,
oh well.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
Ryan, how would you respond to Panda, that's trying to comfort
sure.
their friend that's going through a tough time? How would you comfort? I mean, from my perspective, sometimes it depends on what's actually going on, but do you have any kind of general
Mm.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. I don't remember who I was talking to recently. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was kind of, we were talking about comfort. Um, and something struck me as interesting. I think it was the etymology of the word comfort, but I can't remember. Ah, no, that was compatible. That's compati is Latin for suffering, to suffer with. So if you're compatible, that's to be able to suffer with.
That's
Not necessarily.
compatibility?
Yeah, compatibility.
Because so
Compatibility
many
comes from the a lot of times in common culture, we think compatibility is everybody gets along and everybody is like, "Oh, I've got no problems in my relationship," or we enjoy all the same things. But in actuality, compatibility comes from Latin compati, which means to suffer with.
Hmm,
Yeah.
wow. That's funny because so many people, end their marriages based on
Com
incompatibility, but well, I guess they just don't wanna
Yeah,
suffer together. There's
they don't
plenty of
wanna suffer with
suffering,
them.
but they just don't wanna be together with it or something.
Isn't that amazing?
That
I'm
that's
like
that's amazing.
I was like, "What? That's brilliant. That's genius." Oh, man. Like, that was like, "Whoa, nice." But anyways, what was I talking Okay, so comfort,
Comforting a friend.
comforting a friend. Um, there's so many different ways to comfort your friend, but, a lot of times it's important, excuse me, to keep a couple of things in mind. Um, one, don't offer any advice
Mm,
unless they ask it. Um, a lot of times people who are looking for comfort aren't looking for you to show them where they could have done better. They
mhm,
aren't looking for you to show them what they could do now, because someone who needs to be comforted is someone who, if you try to help them by giving them advice, a lot of times they're going to feel like you're just shoving in their face even more that they've messed up. or
Mhm.
that they're broken or that they need help or whatever. So make sure that you don't give advice unless they are very honestly asking for it.
Mhm.
Um, if they ask you something specific, then yeah, go for it. Um, that would be my first thing to be wary of is yeah, don't don't try to give advice. Um, obviously what everybody knows, being able to listen, just listening, letting people get something off their chest or having somebody who can listen to them and either relate or even if they don't relate, just be like, yeah, that sounds rough. Someone that can say that um someone that can make them feel like they're on their side. A lot of times when we need comforting, it's because we want to have somebody else be on our side, that we aren't complete failures, or that um, you know, that we have friends still, you know. Um, a lot of times people who need comforting are people that are looking at themselves and seeing a lot of darkness, a lot of bad things, and they need somebody to show them the light within them. They need someone to be there, even if what they did was wrong. They probably know, and that's why they
Mhm.
need comforting.
Mhm.
They need someone to be there that can say, sure, maybe that was wrong, but, lead them towards the light um, by letting them get it off their chest, showing them that they have friends still, showing them that you still love them, and also showing them that there's ways to grow, looking at the situation and saying, it doesn't hurt. It might be annoying to them. It might be annoying to them. Certain people, this is really annoying to, but to point out something that's good in the situation, like, oh man, this blah, blah, blah happened. And then you can be like, oh man, that does stink. I guess at least now we know how to address it better next time. Or you could, that's not really a good one, but sometimes I think it's important to bring up the fact that a lot of times we think things are bad just because we don't like how they feel. Um, but that doesn't mean good won't come from them. And you can say, I'm sure a lot of good will come from this. We just don't see it yet. Someday you'll look back on this and laugh at it or see the good that came out of it. And it doesn't feel like that right now. Of course it doesn't. I think a lot of comforting comes from just being on their level
Mhm.
and letting them know that uh, you love them. You know, I want to kind of stray away from the word of accepting them because sometimes things people do isn't acceptable. Some things just aren't acceptable, but
Mhm.
those people know that. um, it's not about toleration. It's not about accepting. It's about loving. It's about saying, I want what's best for you and I'm here for you, you know? Um, so comforting, how do you comfort your friend? A lot of it is listening. A lot of it is, um, you know, making sure you don't give advice when they don't ask for it and just loving on them whatever way you can. And you being an example of positivity in their life, because your example will rub off on them, and they'll start to think more positively too. If and also I would say to prevent gossip or too much negativity. If things are turning into if things are starting to get darker and darker and more negative, and blame is being thrown places, and they're they've gone from what you see as a requirement of comfort to an extreme of belligerent or or negatively um purposefully being negative or purposely trying to cause damage to um somebody's reputation or whatever. If they've gone from this point of like, man, this happened to me and it's just awful, to the point of This person is the most terrible person in the world and I cannot deal with them. This is what they do, blah, 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 blah. If they move from one side to the other, then I would say in that situation, you don't want to, your aim isn't to comfort them anymore. Your aim is to try to direct them in a different way. Try to direct the conversation so that it becomes less about insulting so and so and more about uplifting um, either them or the other person, whoever, um, whatever the drama is. Um, but yeah, that's my best advice. I hope that's helpful.
Hmm. No,
Oh,
that's
also
good.
one more thing. One more thing. Hugs, physical contact. Hugs, dude. You might be like, oh, I'm not a touchy person. I don't do the touchy feely thing. That's not
I'm
who
not
I
a
am.
touchy person.
Yeah, but Joe and I, we hug. um, it's not about being a touchy person or not. It's something that anybody can learn to do and is extremely important to the human condition. It's extremely important. The way our mind is wired naturally is that when we receive physical contact that is gentle or embracing, that is done in a loving manner, it it releases chemicals in your brain that make you feel good and feel better about yourself. In fact, hugging someone makes them feel more acceptable because a lot of times people in our common culture think, "Oh, I'm ugly." No one wants to touch. No one would ever want to like look at me or hug me. I'm so broken. Blah blah blah. People are picking on themselves. If you give somebody a hug, it proves everything they just thought wrong because it's like, I am accepting who you are. I am accepting the all of you. I am embracing you. I am giving you a physical hug. And it helps them realize in their head that, hey, this person doesn't think I'm ugly, apparently. How could they hug me if I was so ugly? You know? Or
They think I'm
whatever.
ugly.
They think I'm ugly. Ugly. Nice. Even if the person themselves is like, oh, like I'm not a physical touch person, like don't hug me. Be like, just usher it in. Be like, come on, man. Don't worry about it, man. Just come on, bring it in. Come on, come on.
Yeah, you're
And
getting a hug. You're getting a hug right
come on, you're
now.
getting a
And
hug. You're getting a hug, man. You're getting a hug. And
that's
when you hug them, they, regardless of anything that they might say out loud, they're enjoying it. I promise. They're like, okay, oh, whatever. This is stupid. Why? This is so awkward, man. I can't believe you're hugging me. But in their brain is currently being rewired to be like, I feel loved. I feel like this person cares about me, and I feel like I'm cared about, and I feel better about myself. Ugly. It's great. There you go. That's another piece of advice I can give you.
hugs.
Anyways, what would you say? What would you add on to that, Joe?
Well, first, I wanted to highlight what Princess Yellow said.
Mm,
If your friend is stuck in negative thoughts from situations and are having a hard time seeing the good there is in life, a friend of mine asked me to list 10 things, no matter how small, 10 things that are good in life. Yeah, I think that is hugely wonderful, and everything that Ryan just said just goes right along with that. I mean, that's a practical thing you can do is say, "Hey, think of 10 things that you're grateful for." It's the 10 things that are good in life, you know, I would just expand on that and say things that you're thankful for. Because if
could
you
I? I
yeah,
Nyla
you can
brings up a
you
great
can put
point.
your finger up and interrupt me, absolutely.
I'm going to. All right. Because Nyla's has a great point. What if you can't find 10 things? Won't you feel worse? That's why I would suggest doing something, and that is doing it with them,
Hmm.
coming up with things together. Because as soon as you start to point something out and they're like, oh, that's so obvious. What? Duh. Of course we like pizza. Pizza's a great thing. Yeah. Like, oh, then broccoli, like, oh, I like tomatoes. great.
Yeah.
That gets them started. So helping them get started by starting or counting with them to 10, um, that will help Nihilus. Anyways, sorry to interrupt you. Go on. I just wanted to.
No, absolutely. But yeah, one of the things that I wanted to reiterate about Ryan was saying was to avoid giving advice, you know, because sometimes there are two words that said properly and in the right context and like with love and caring in your heart are so effective. And those two words are that sucks. Cuz sometimes someone's going through something that sucks. Forgive my language. Is that too risque of language
I
for
don't
what
know if that sucks is appropriate. Maybe we could say that stinks, or
that
we could
stinks?
say,
That's too bad. Well, it's too bad just sounds
yeah,
condescending.
oh, it's too bad. Yeah, it sounds like it's, yeah, being
But when
sarcastic.
you look at someone with a heartfelt, I'm gonna say it, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can say,
I can say whatever I want. I am the host,
y-
the
actually,
co-host.
you're the, well,
Socks, yes, that's
whatever.
if you're from Boston, that sucks.
That's sex.
um, but yeah, I mean, if you're empathizing with somebody and they're um they're dealing with an issue, and Ryan gave a lot of different scenarios of what it could possibly be. Maybe they're doing something wrong, and what he said was we don't want to validate their wrong behavior. We don't want to applaud, something they're doing that's wrong, but help them understand that everybody does stuff that's wrong.
True.
And it doesn't affect their standing as a person. They're still a lovable person. They're still very hugly. And um and you can, if you can separate a person from their behavior and say, okay, the reason and I'm going to go back to some of the things I talked about with Rosie's uh question, and that is if somebody's doing something that's bad, then that's a very clear indicator that there is a wound in their life, in their heart or in their spirit somewhere. And, that needs to heal. And generally, wounds, emotional wounds, and stuff like that are healed through forgiveness. Like I
It's
know
true.
that I had a lot of poor behavior for a long time in my life. And when it was pointed out to me that these were just things that I was doing because I was hurting inside, it wasn't things that I was doing because I was bad. It was things that I was doing because I was hurting, because I had been hurt by other people throughout my life. And these incidents were things that I had not forgiven, and so I was holding on to them, and it was eating me up inside and causing me to behave in a bad way, or maybe even just causing me to feel depressed, or causing me to feel something, is off and behave wrong. But the thing, when I learned that the antidote to that is to forgive what happened, the thing that wounded me, forgive the wound and forgive the person that wounded me, man, that opens everything. I mean, you will feel burdens come off your shoulders like you wouldn't believe. You'll stand 2 inches taller. I mean, it's incredible. And a lot of things will just get fixed in your life just because you looked back at something that hurt you that you had been holding on to maybe for years, and you forgave that person. You don't even have to forgive them to their face. You don't even have to talk to them. Maybe you don't even know them anymore. They're moved across the country and you never saw them since that incident. But in your heart, if you can forgive, then man, that will repair a lot of bad things that are going on. So I mean, if you're the person to dig down with with your friend and get to the root of what's causing the pain, like where the wound came from, and then maybe encourage them, sit with them and help them forgive that person, that caused that pain, you will see some amazing transformations take place. And don't ever forget that pain is a part of the healing process. So it's a necessary component. So we always think pain and discomfort, we want to get away from it. And of course, it's not fun to be in pain. But that pain that you're dealing with is part of the healing that's going on. And that can totally make a difference in how you approach any situation, because you're like, okay, this pain is just part of the healing. This is just part of the process of getting better. I'm getting better, and that's why it hurts. And that, sometimes that's the case. Now, sometimes the wound itself hurts, and but that's an indicator of where you need to forgive and then heal. And the healing process may be painful, but you will heal. And then all that stuff can be better. But surround all that with love and acceptance, and not giving advice like we're giving advice, but we've got people asking questions. So,
It's different, yeah.
but love, and learn to look at them, and maybe put your arm around them and say, "Man, I'm so sorry. That sucks that you're going through that. I
Mhm.
know it hurts, but that's what I have."
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Um, so,
Summer asked if we'd
Summer.
answer a question.
Yeah, Summer says, okay. I think this is where it starts. Okay, so it says, well, I've been trying to cry more because I know how good it is. I just feel very judged and stuff when crying, though. Not too long ago, I tried to kind of be emotionless or whatever. Not done yet. He continues. I've gotten better now, but but it still makes it hard to cry. I still feel very self conscious when doing so. Any way to help me kind of overcome this? What would you say to that?
What would I say to that? First, I would
Yeah.
say I want to reread the question to make sure that I give the appropriate.
Sorry, that's my fault.
No, 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 not at all.
You know
There's
what I'm
just a
gonna
lot
do?
there. There's just a lot there that I want to make sure.
Look. I'm just gonna
Huh?
drink this coffee, okay?
I'm looking. You look good when you drink coffee,
Thanks, Joe. You do too. That's
man.
why I'm always happy to see you drinking coffee because you just look so good
I do,
when you
I
drink it.
do, I know.
I'm like, man,
But thanks for telling me again.
there's no thing on earth that I'd rather be watching right now. Whenever I see it, I'm just like, oh, I'm so blessed. Joe is drinking coffee. Joe is drinking
Right in
Joe
front
right
of
in
me.
front of me.
Right in front of me.
Joe is
Wow.
drinking a cup of Joe.
Wow. That's something. That's one of those 10 things to be thankful for.
Yes. Every time, whenever that list comes up, I'm like, okay, so Joe drinking Joe.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Okay, so
Rosie, because I enjoy the taste. There you go.
so okay. So well, I'm glad to hear that you've gotten better now. And yeah, being emotionless, I mean, that's something you can try. And obviously, it seems like you found that that's not necessarily the answer. It was kind of like when I tried sleeping for 3 hours a night. I found out that that was not the answer. You know, like, but we try things to see whether it's gonna work or not. And so
Mhm.
I applaud you for experimenting and trying to, like, well, basically you're trying to improve your life. You're trying to make your life better, and you're trying different things in order to do that. And that's great,
That is
because
awesome.
yeah, because when you're going through some things, sometimes, a lot of times, it's just like we don't know. We don't have any experience to deal with this yet. We're faced with a brand new type of situation. We don't know what we're doing. So we got to try something. I mean, it doesn't do much good to just like sit back. I mean, sometimes you have to analyze, and you have to, like, make a determination on what, okay, let's try this. I'm going to try this because of this, this, and this. So I'm going to try this as a result, and then we're going to see how it works. And then, and if it falls flat on its face and it doesn't work, then be okay with that. You know, that's one of the things. I'm a perfectionist, and so when I would make a mistake, I would just it would kill me, and I'd be like downtrodden for a week or more, because I made a mistake. And oh my gosh! But then I was like, no, making mistakes is part of life. So that's a long way of saying I applaud you for
Yeah.
trying. But so now crying is good for you. And I mean, I guess the question I would ask is, are you by yourself when you're crying, or are you trying to cry in front of other people? Or, I mean, because crying is not generally something I do in front of other people unless there's like something going on where we're crying together, you know.
Mm.
But and even then, sometimes, I'll my eyes will get a little bit misty, but I won't like be weeping. I generally reserve my hard cries for when I'm by myself. And that's kind of a part of emotional self-control, but it does help sometimes to have a good hard cry when you're by yourself. And that's okay, you know? Sometimes, like, if I was to just start weeping in front of my kids, they might get some kinda weird thing, like, it's okay to have some tears come to my eyes, but if I, like, had a super hard cry,
Like a
you know,
breakdown?
like, yeah, that might be kinda they might look at me really strangely like, "Dad, what's going on?" And I had to applaud my 6-year-old the other day because we were at martial arts, and this kinda goes into the whole crying thing. And if he ends up watching this, I'm very sorry, but I won't tell them your name. Um,
Only two of them.
but so we were at martial arts, and he was just having a rough time because I mean he's 6, and and they had just gotten back from a long drive. They'd spent 4 days in a car
Oh.
with grandma, grandpa, mom, them, and their cousin. And it was a long journey, and it was exhausting. And they were still kind of in this, phase of getting through the jet lag, you know, all this kind of stuff. And we were at martial arts class, and he was just having a hard time. And I got to give him props because he really didn't want to be there. and and he was starting to walk off the mat, and you're not supposed to do that. You need permission from the instructor. And so he the instructor said, "Hey, get back here. You need you can't just leave the class. You gotta, like, get permission." And so he raised his hand, you know, and he asked permission to leave the class to go talk to, mom about something, and he said, "Yes, you have permission." And so he walked off the mat with poise, and then as soon as he got to mom, he just started silently bawling. Like, but he kept his poise the whole way over there, and then
Mm.
when he got off the mat, then he let go and let his and gave, his emotions their time. And I had a lot of respect for that moment because he showed self-control at that point. And oh, yes, Summer, it is good to have a shoulder to cry on. Summer says, when I cry, I've been kind of trying to cry in a call with my friends so I can have a shoulder to cry on. That that's totally not weird. I mean, we man, that's great. And in fact, it shows a side of us. If you have, you know, empathy with somebody, it shows a vulnerability in you, and it shows that you're real, and it shows that it's okay. I mean, because everybody's faced with those moments where they just need to cry. It's part of being human.
Mhm.
And for you to do that with somebody, you know, like I don't necessarily encourage doing it in public, under under very rare circumstances, depending on the situation. But most of the time, if it's just you two together to have that cry together, man, that will build a bond between you as well. And it will validate you to each other. And, it will basically, in more cases than not, it will grow the respect level, the friendship level, and everything that's right there, I think. So, yeah, my props go to you for working on this because yes, it is good to cry. You refuse to cry in public. Me too. Except for at the
Mhm.
movies. Sometimes at the movies. When there's a movie that,
Mhm.
deserves to be cried at. But then it's dark.
Yeah,
It
true.
doesn't matter. Nobody's watching me anyway. They're watching the movie. And if they're watching me, they're not getting their money's worth because they should be watching the movie.
They're getting more than the money's worth, Joe. They're getting more than their money's worth.
No, they'd be getting more than their money's worth if they were watching me drink coffee.
That's true.
That's
Yeah. If you had brought some coffee, wow, that's a spectacle right there. Nice.
So, way to go, Summer. And thank
Yeah,
you for your question. Man, that's awesome. Ryan, do you have anything?
sure. I remember, I think I was in 6th grade. Um, it was a hard time. It was middle school, lots of people picking on me. I had, um, like, not really very many friends. Um, I was stuck all the classes I had, I was stuck with people who really did not respect me in any way, and, some of them would, like, shoot spit wads at me and call me names and etcetera in, like, every class, so I was having a hard time in 6th grade. Um, but not only that, it was like I still had to be responsible for doing my homework and. All of these things. I remember having a thought when I was in 6th grade. It was like, man, if it wasn't me in this situation and it was somebody else, like I would feel bad for him, sure, but it wouldn't hurt as much because it would be that other person, not me, that's in that situation. Like to doing the homework. If it's somebody else's homework and they have to do it, who cares? you know, if if I can just forget that I'm me and take away all of my emotions and just run the race, whatever, and just forget about me, um, I'll be a lot more okay with everything that's going on. And so that's what I started to do when I was in 6th grade. And I'll tell you what, there was some that wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing in some ways and bad in others. Um, it was so I started this experiment, as you could say. I started to just pretend that I wasn't me, and I was just seeing myself. I was directing myself emotionlessly, imagining myself as some being way off in the distance, controlling this one unit and making him go here and there and doing his homework and um, facing the issues he had to face. So I was removing myself emotionally from myself. Um, I started to realize a couple of things. I started to look at myself in a whole new way, and I started to realize, wait a minute, Ryan, these other people are just like you. I started to realize that the reasons, like I started to question, like why do these people do this kind of stuff to me? And then I realized the same reasons you would do those things. We reason the same because we're human beings and logic is true and through and through. Logic is logic. And people do things generally for the same reasons. So why is this person picking on me? Well, I don't know, but I can give some thoughts about it, probably because they have a hard home life, you know? Or maybe like if I was in that situation, I would have picked on me too because I was being a total jerk in that situation. I was calling them out on something. Why would I do that? Like cuz I wanted to feel good. And then they wanted to feel good cuz I called them out on something so they insulted me. And I was like, "Oh geez." So I started to realize things as I took myself out of the situation. I was able to look at myself and able to look at those around me from a better angle. Um, with the emotions and with myself being number one removed. I was no longer number one at that point. I could see other people and that I was a lot like them. Um, and so I remained that way for a while. Eventually, obviously, being completely emotionless isn't that great um, for relationships and other things. But I would say that a lot of good came from that. And I hope something similar happened for you. That in your emotionless time, you are able to start to see others and yourself as human and all capable of doing good and bad things and doing things a lot for the same reasons. And yeah, um, but obviously, for crying in public or crying or getting over the situation where you're worried about what people think about you when you cry in front of them, I think that comes down to being self-conscious. Um,
Mm.
of course, you're worried about what people think of you, um, and some of that might be something you deal with your entire life. For most people, it is. From For some people, it's something they deal with for a time, and then they get over it, and it comes back every once in a while. Uh, because because we're entrapped in our own bodies, because we have to deal with ourselves and hear our own thoughts and feel our own emotions, we kind of start to view the world and how it's affecting us rather than being able to view the world outside of ourselves. It's kind of weird to try to say, but ultimately, um, being self-conscious is being worried negatively about what people will think about you. So the best things you can do is try to look at yourself again with a little bit more confidence. Try to worry less about what other people think about you. Um, and this can only be achieved by getting through those situations where you are feeling judged and just being like, yeah, I don't care. you know, like, um, you know, I fell down in the snow one time, right? And like a whole bunch of people saw it, including some people that were bullies. And I fell down face first into a snow bank, and they looked at me and they started laughing. Um, but in that situation, I just stood up and I started laughing with them, and I said that was pretty funny, and I continued on with the rest of my day. And I remember that day. I didn't think a whole lot about it after that. I didn't think about, "Oh, dang, I fell down in the snow in front of those people this morning. They gotta think I'm such an idiot, I'm such a klutz, blah, blah, blah." For some reason that day, I didn't care. And I think that's a lot of because when I got up from the snow, I admitted, "Yeah, that looked pretty stupid." And whoops, obviously I didn't do that on purpose, but well, whatever. It is what it is, like I can't let that affect me for the rest of the day or the rest of my whole year. I can't worry about what people think about me, just brushing things off when they come helps you build strength in those areas and makes you stronger when it comes to even harder things in the future. When people are clearly judging you, or when you're worried about what is this person going to think about me that now that they've learned I do this, or now that
Mm.
they've heard me cry in front of this other person or right in front of them. What are they going to think about me? And it's not like it's important to hold yourself high. It's important to care about yourself and it's important to care about other people, but it is not important to care about, or rather to worry about what they think about you.
Mm.
It's important to care about people and to worry about them, but to worry about what they think about you is pointless because you can't control what they think about you. You will never
That's
be
true.
able to control what they think about you. Again, it's important to care about them, just not what they think about you.
Mhm.
Um, so Yeah, keeping that in the back of your mind, hopefully when you cry next time, I think a lot of it comes with self-dignity, understanding human value, and that you're just like everybody else. You know, you're a human. We all make mistakes. We all cry. Crying is not evil. It can be a good thing. All of this in contrast, a lot of it, I think you already know. Um, excuse me. But I think you can, it's something you get over, or maybe it's something you'll worry about for the rest of your life. But I don't think so. I remember I was in church one time and I cried in front of people. I was in the pew. It wasn't like I was standing up in front of the entire church crying, but I was in the pew and I cried. And the reason was because I had just gone through this whole adventure, emotional bout with this girl who I really, really liked. She was suicidal. I helped her to get over it. Her ex boyfriend killed himself. She
Ooh.
became suicidal once again because he left a note saying it was all her fault. This is a story for another day. I'll tell it in detail later.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then I had to, with friends, help convince her again, hey, don't kill yourself. You're an awesome person. Who cares if that's what he wrote about you? That's not true. It wasn't your fault. He killed you or he killed himself. That was his own choice, blah, blah, blah. Finally, she starts getting over it. And just as she's getting over it, kind of, not really a whole lot, but a little bit, she falls in love with this other guy that's not me, and I really liked her and she knew that. And so um when when she fell in love with this other guy, she eventually basically just stopped talking to me. And then I felt like, great, I tried so hard, and yeah, it wasn't pointless. I mean, I helped them get through this, but in the end, like, it amounted to nothing because now I don't even talk to her anymore. Like, and then I went to church and they sing this song, and the song was about love. Um, and if you want to look the song up, it's called "The Summons" by John Bell, I think, something like that. Anyways, it's called "The Summons," and it goes, "Will you come and follow me if I but call your name? Will you go where you don't know and never be the same? Will you let my love be shown? Will you let my name be known? Will you let my life be grown in you and you in me?" Yeah, yeah, Rosie, you'll remember that song. Um, a classic Catholic hymn. So that song, it goes
Great
on.
job, Static.
I sang a lot of notes off. Doesn't really matter.
Everybody in the stream was clapping. You
Thanks,
didn't hear
guys.
it.
I heard it. It sounds like typing on the keyboard. Um, anyways, so the song, it talks about love in a specific way, in that it's through each other. You grow in somebody, and somebody grows back in you. Um, and I remember going through this situation and being like, that's right. It wasn't all lost. It's like I made an impact on this person's life and they made an impact on my life, and that will continue for the rest of my life and the rest of theirs. Like,
Mm.
that's part of what love is, and that's beautiful. And so, um, just as I'm actually like reading, paying attention to these lyrics, and just as I'm like thinking about this, my mom leans over and she says, "This was Randall's favorite song." Randall had just died like a month or so ago, and he was a wonderful, wonderful guy. And so she tells me this was Randall's favorite song. And I'm like, don't add more emotion to this, than there already is. And I'm just like start crying, and I'm like crying in church, and while trying to sing this song. And then eventually the song gets over, and I clear myself up and I stop crying. But it felt good. I felt it was a good cry, and um, apparently someone had saw it after church. They came to my mom and she said, "Is Ryan okay? Is everything all right?" And she said, "Yeah, he was just touched by the Holy Spirit." but which is a great response. But yeah, yeah, it was like a lot of relief, which which was really cool because that you know I didn't expect it to come. It was unexpected, and it wasn't a pitiful cry. It was more of a cry of relief than anything, and yeah, it was a good cry. But I wasn't embarrassed about it. I was embarrassed that she asked, and I was like, "Oh, people saw me, what do they think?" But then when my mom turned them away from the idea that something was wrong, suddenly I was not embarrassed about it anymore. And I was like, "That's right. There isn't anything wrong, and that's good. It's gonna be okay. Like everything's gonna work out. It's great. I think I didn't care about I didn't care anymore. I just, you know, and as you go through life, you'll look back at the situations that you used to worry about, and you're just gonna be like, "Well, that went all right. Why did I worry about it? Like it's nothing now. It's like 10 years past then. No one's talking about it anymore, you know? So
We're talking about it right now.
yeah, that's true.
You brought
But
it
in good
up.
light. But in good light. No one's worried about it.
Right, yes, yes.
So yeah. Okay, yeah, that was a long, exaggerated length of talk, but there you go. Hopefully some of that was somehow helpful to you.
No, that was awesome, Ryan. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think Noah, I see Jesse responded to you. Yeah, we're getting towards the end of the
Mhm.
this week's show, but I tell you what, one of the things you can do, because we do a lot of times if we don't have questions right off the bat, we will start with stuff from the website. Go to bss.studio and post your question in the forum, and we will put it at the top of the list for next week. So then we can address it, and then but it'd be nice to know that you're there so you could hear the response or whatnot. So yeah, post your question next week or put it in the forums, and we'll address it for sure. um Summer, you're very welcome, and thank you, my goodness, everybody who asked a question. Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, seriously, thank you.
um Yeah, and my goodness, the whole chat has been so active today. You
Yeah, it's been
guys
wonderful.
you guys are amazing. Like, I'm just kind of reading through it. I'm listening to Ryan, and I'm like, man, like people are helping each other out. People have got other advice. People are putting clap hands things on there for Ryan, which is totally appropriate. Um, you guys,
I just
you
don't do
guys
it
are so
appropriately, whatever that would be.
incredible. Yeah. And like we always say at the beginning, we're not professionals, but we just want to give back to you guys who, give to us so much. And just the fact that you're here and you're with us, man, that is so awesome. I mean, I feel so humbled, you know, to know that you guys are all here. And man, you know we see a lot of familiar names and some new names. I see some familiar names and new names every week, and it's
Mhm.
great to see all of you. And it's, man,
Yeah,
Joan
thanks
Reiner,
everybody.
professional psychologist, LOL. Emphasize the LOL because we are totally
Yeah,
not
because we are not.
professional psychologists.
We've got I mean, we would have a long way to go before we became something like that. There's a lot of
Yeah,
knowledge we don't know.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys for coming out. And if you want to check out what we've got going on at the website, go to bss.studio. Maybe we can post a link. Um, I don't know,
Mhm.
Ryan, do you want to do that? You want me to?
BSS Studio?
HTTPS.
I got it. Or you're probably gonna get it before I get there.
I'm gonna
Oh.
get it. I'm gonna beat you. It's gonna be great. Oh man, but it didn't show up. Oh, it did show up as a link. I win the prize.
Oh, that's
I
why I
win.
can't. That's why I can't add mods. Silly me. I'm not logged in as I'm not logged in as the right person. I was like, why am I not allowed to click on people? Like, what's going on here? There you go. And I figured that out when I tried to post the link. I was going to post it before you, But then it was like, you can't send links. And I'm like, why? I'm not a
Because you're not a
mod.
mod,
I'm
man.
going to make
Yeah.
myself a mod. What the heck?
Yeah, you
Add to
better.
moderator. There we go. I, I deserve to be a mod on this. I mean,
You
geez.
do, man. Yeah, every person that you are deserves to be a moderator. And then
Hmm.
also we've got links to both Static P and CDVNL's YouTube channels. And tomorrow the CDVNL YouTube channel is going to get another video. So you can go there and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll be
Hmm.
notified as soon as it's there. And it took some time to put it out, to put the whole thing together, but hopefully it turned out good.
Thanks, Saigo. Thanks for continuing the recommendation. You and Bragging Rights.
Princess, I hope it's a hug. I know sometimes I'm ugly.
Ugly. Yeah. Um, yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining. I hope that the song does well. If you guys don't know his channel, yeah, it is in the link in the description below. Um, so you should go there and subscribe to him so that you can check out his songs when he posts them. And he already has one song there, so you can listen to that if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long time coming since this next one. Hopefully, now that we've gotten some logistical things out of the way, we'll be able to be on a much more regular schedule. So
Hmm.
it would be
Yeah,
good.
that'd be good.
It
All
would
right,
be good.
everyone.
Yes. Thank you for coming to the
Thank you
Don't
for
Wear.
joining us today.
It's been a great time.
Nice. Mm. I'm just gonna slowly let it die out like this, like awkwardly.
Are we gonna do that? Is that how it's gonna be? It's gonna
Yeah,
be like a fade out.
yeah. It's gonna
Okay.
be like a slow fade out where we're just like looking around,
In slow motion.
and like when the newscast gets off, and they actually they don't just turn to each other and have a fake conversation that isn't real, but they actually like have something to say. They're like, guys, so during that, I think you guys, and they're like, you're still on air. That's kind of awkward exit I want to have here.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jesse, controlling the stream. Excuse me, did you notice that point? You were supposed to bring up that thing. No, I've got nothing on you. You did great.
Yes, our show is brought to you. Our show is brought to you by the color green.
I wish I could hold up that something that was green, but I literally have nothing green around me.
Green.
There you go.
And the number Q.